right. I have 101, so I will call the Finance Committee meeting to order and start with my first quarter committee report for you that I sent out. I don't think we're expecting any more people, but if they're welcome to join us.
Oh, here comes Leo.
Oh,
He's locked out. There he goes. Hi, Leo.
Leo's here.
welcome, Leo.
Thank you.
I never see you anymore.
I'm like a mole.
He's working on financial reports right now, probably, he's like stuck in his cave.
Right. So on page 2, it just gives you the cash balance and current expense as of March 29th, and that was 25.8 million. That was about 388,000 more than the same period in 2023. And then I have updated the general fund reserve and contingent policy to meet the 2024 policy balances and reserve balances. So if we were to fund our reserves, our general fund contingency at 25%, we would, less our current reserves of 7.9, we would have 6.6 million in unencumbered cash. Our cash and investments as of the end of March totaled 260,829,000. There is a breakdown of the checking account, our Impress accounts, and then the investment portfolio is 245 million of that. Interest rates are really good right now. You can see in our investment interest collections, in 2023, we had budgeted 250,000 and we did 2.5 million. We did not end up doing a budget adjustment for 2023, so that looks a little high, but in 2024, we did increase it to 900,000 because, you know, I don't have a crystal ball, and interest rates were supposed to drop, and they aren't. So we had budgeted 900,000, and through the end of March, we've already collected 635,000. I don't have a whole lot of banking costs to date yet, just $1,388.
Lisa, what drives that cost for you?
What drives that
Yeah,
cost
what-
for me? So this $1,388 is the wire costs or the custody costs for doing investments right now. That gets paid quarterly, so this amount was through December of 2023. I just got the invoice for 2024 first quarter. Our banking costs are covered by the bank balance in our accounts. So we keep a balance in our bank account that helps to cover the costs of our banking. So generally speaking, I pay $0 out. But we run about 40,000 a year in costs.
Okay. Thank you.
The county debt recap. I think Jennifer's been updating you more frequently than I am on that, and I know Steve is including that in his monthly report to you, but it's here for your information. Not much activity right now. Again, June and December are our big payment dates. There's lots of reports in here. You know, just go ahead and review to your pleasure. We'll go to old business, and under old business, I just have an update for the Skokomish River Ecosystem Restoration Project. Loretta had updated us that they are still acquiring the right-of-ways, and they expect to award construction in February of 2026, and with construction starting that summer. It sounds like we will need a loan in 2026, or if at all possible, and they can come to agreement with Department of Ecology and the conservation districts, we may not need one at all. So she's working on that. So that sounds really good. Belfair wastewater system, again, they've substantially completed that project. This is the extension project. And it looks like they will be bringing the final loan documents before us soon for signatures and on that. It looks to be about 2.7 million, less the 5% loan forgiveness. So I'll have more details later. Looks like the interest rate on that is still gonna be the 0.54%, so. And then under new business, I know Public Works will be bringing this forward to you. It's the Shetland Road RID Road Improvement District. And they'll bring more information to you, but I have been in contact and keeping in contact with Loretta on this. The estimated cost if the district is approved and goes out for construction is about $365,000. I know they're hoping to start that sometime this summer, if all goes well. RED assessments are not as easy to fund as they used to be. This is a small enough amount that it's going to be difficult to get a loan for 10 years or more for $365,000 with an interest rate that's going to not be the 6 or 7% that they're currently paying. And it's why it's small enough that the county could maybe do, we are prohibited from going out more than 5 years. So it's not something we could do an internal loan for. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. I did put some feelers out. Used to be able to do a loan with the payments coming from the IED. And so a revenue type bond or that sort of thing. And the banks are being a lot more picky. They want it to be GO, government-backed debt, which we can certainly do with, you know, in our resolution saying that it will be paid for from these assessments. But if the assessments don't get paid or there's some, you know, some issue, we would be on the hook for that as GO debt. So there's a lot of things to talk about. I'm just bringing it forward as informational only at this time because obviously you have decisions to make as a board, and this project is coming up. So is there any questions on that?
Would you have a recommendation or?
I don't have a recommendation right now. So REDs are not billed with property tax statements. They're a separate billing. They're an annual statement billing. And they're billed so that, you know, we have those funds available to make the loan payments. So generally once you create the district and we send out the assessments and stuff, they can pay up front. They can pay a portion, and then we would bill them for the balance over the 10-year period. If they're delinquent, there's interest charges that need to be built into whatever formula we do for this, you know, funding this district and so forth. So there's lots of steps that we would need to take forward. It's foreclosable if it remains unpaid. So it does, but it's not billed with property taxes. So it's not like you can pay half in April and half in October. It's a separate billing, separate managed by my office that we would bill and collect. So we haven't had one in forever. It's been a long time, but we have the process down. It's not anything. It's just, this is a small amount of money in the scope of things. Banks are looking, you know, to loan larger amounts for that long and to go out 10 years. I didn't get a whole lot of, yes, we want to give you, you know, we want to do this for you. So I may struggle.
When we set up the loans for people in Belfair Sewer for their extensions and stuff like that, how did we set that up?
That was an internal through Public Works. It never went out to a loan.
Yeah, so we did the debt ourselves, and then we extended the loan to them.
Yeah, and I think it was out of grant money. There were grant monies or there was some other loan from the state. So it wasn't an interfund loan. So once you create this RID district, if we were to loan them the money, it would be an interfund loan. And this, they did it on an individual basis based on money they received from Commerce or DO,
I know they
That
got a
whole scheme.
percentage, but I know they
Yeah.
didn't get everything, so I was just wondering, I think we just paid it, but I don't know how we can keep billing them if we don't have a debt. Can we set up an individual debt with them?
This would be the debt of the RID district for which these people will have either voted
just-
to join or pay or,
So we never set up a district, we just did it with the
that's correct.
individual, that's the
That's
difference.
correct.
Okay, I see it.
And the monies are a different thing. The monies were a different pot of money. They weren't a current expense interfund loan to the RED. So, I would say the state auditor frowns on anything over 5 years, and you would have to have a really good reason why you're extending our credit out that far with an interest rate. I mean, we would have to be able to, claim it. So it's possible, but it's one of the things we're looking at.
Are you limited at all by where you can look for loans? Like who we can do this with?
We have our banks and we have, bond investors. This is not big enough to go out for a bond. It's not big enough. It's way too small. This would be a bank loan.
What's the trigger size, do you think? $1 million, 2 million?
At least $1 million.
Because wondering time-wise, we have the second one that we're looking at, and if we put them together, then
That might be different.
You'd have to do them at the same exact time.
Mhm.
Lisa, what about the state treasurer? Don't they have a program where they consolidate local debt together? And I can't remember the name of the program,
It's
but
for capital improvement.
is that just capital improvement? So an RID would not be, shoot.
last I heard, they were a lot closer on that one, for the Razor Road, and they're looking at even, they've changed it because they brought me in there when I looked at it, there's a huge amount of money to go down the dirt road, back down to 106, that it's not even realistic. You spend so much money because the road's not even hardly passable when you do it. So they thought about stopping, going a little bit down there and then going down Alderwood, which has been needing it real bad. And, that brought the price way down. And maybe doing it together, they were a lot further ahead than I thought they would be, so we told them the end of the year, but maybe they can do it together.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had any conversations about the Razor Road RED,
No,
so.
we'll just have to ask them and ask them to give us an update.
Okay. Yeah, keep me in the loop, let me know. That might be a possibility. I see some headaches on my side, trying to keep the billing straight and paying each district's portion, because they're gonna not be one district, they would probably be two, just because of their locations. So that's something we would have to talk to bond council about, or have to, kind of weigh in, because you're gonna have one amount for a set amount of people, and you're gonna have another amount for another set of people. And so I'm going to have to bill them separately. But it's possible that we could maybe borrow enough to pay for both. But they would need to, those loans would have to close at the same time, so, or that loan would have to close at the same time and coincide with the billing. So,
And the projects would have to be done at the same time.
They would pretty, so when I talked to Loretta, it sounded like they had funding available to go ahead and do this small and then get reimbursed from the loan. So they could start right away.
Right,
If you're waiting for a larger amount of money to construct the other one, cause you don't have that cash flow on hand, that could be a problem. We could talk about maybe doing it in 2 steps. I'd really have to put feelers out there and see, but I would need more details about what the cost of the other one would be and what a timeline would be.
okay.
I think it's a much bigger project as well, so, right? I've been on the Razor Road.
You have to tell about it.
So that's something, yeah, I mean, we could consider it, looking at the big picture. But it would be timing.
I'm surprised you didn't get in one of those little potholes and not come out. Interesting road.
Well, I was hoping I didn't have a flat tire this morning on my way to work, cause I did run over something in the middle of Brockdale Road last night. Oh, that sounded like metal, but the tire's fine.
Good.
So, all right. Any more questions on the Shetland Road RAD or Riser? Okay. And I make myself a note to get in touch with Loretta. The other thing I just wanted to bring forward to you today, and again, it's new business, it doesn't require any action. But on pages 41 and 44 of the packet I sent you, I included an overview of the registered warrants by district and year. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention so you know, Shelton School District since 2022, and actually prior to that, but physically registering warrants started in 2022. They have no cash on hand. They're living month to month with their monthly appropriations from the state, and making whatever, cash deposits that they bring in. It is April, they're getting property taxes, and they'll get taxes again in October. But they're not building any reserves, they're living month to month, and we are registering warrants for them month to month. Depending on the month, depends on how much we're registering, so forth. But I did want to provide you with a history of what's going on with there. So they've been able to redeem their registered warrants every month, based on their monthly apportionments and property taxes, general revenues. Their expenditures continue to exceed their available cash on hand. I don't see this changing anytime soon. And as long as we have the resources to cover them, it's a good investment for us. Interest rates it's the state poll rate, which currently is 5.43% plus 2%. So they're paying 7.43, 7.45. It changes on a daily basis, but they're paying about 7% on these short-term loans. I just have concerns, obviously, as our revenue would decrease, or if something should happen that we might not be able to continue to register in the high volumes that we do. Our policy says just to notify the finance committee, so Randy and Steve get an email randomly that says, oh, we've registered over $1 million.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Doesn't affect our cash flow, just letting them know
Yeah.
that we've done that. We had for a long time only had it at $500,000 when our cash was low, and we didn't have the ability to do that. But there wasn't much need out there then. So, but I just want to make sure that you're aware of what's happening on that registered warrant side as an investment for us. And then Randy has alluded to a couple of times Port of Allen. And working through some of theirs, we've done a couple small registered warrants for them as well. And again, we've been working with them very closely to get those redeemed and paid, and they have taxes coming in right now, so we just redeemed their warrants. But I just brought this to your attention so you could see what was going on and make sure that I was being available, because when I'm doing the quarterly reports, it said register warrants are 0. Well, they are at the end of the month because we redeemed them at the end of the month, and it wasn't really a clear picture. And I didn't know if it was something the finance committee really wants to see every month, or if it's just something, I can just do every now and then, just update you on, so. But I just wanted to bring it to their attention and let you know it's out there, and again, it's a good investment for us at this point in time, and, it does cause a lot of extra work for the treasurer's office. We have to manage their cash flow, much more than we do anybody else, so. Anyway, that's all I had.
Well, I think that's good visibility if you're willing to keep providing it.
Sure. Easy. I can, I provided a lot of detail in this report. It was the first one, but I can just do the overview, as we go through if you'd like, or continue with just the current year. But there was some history here, and I hadn't brought it forward before, so make sure we do that. So that's all I had for this business meeting. Is there anything else that needs to come before the finance committee? All right, then I'm gonna adjourn us.
Time have you there, Trevor?
Yeah, some of the stuff that I had asked you about never came to fruition.